Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, we've all been there, we all have experience in life. Most people who watch my channel are millennials or older, very few Zoomers, and so most of us have been around, we have experiences, we've done things, we've interacted with people, we've worked on teams. And there's always that one guy or gal who just can't get the job done. Somebody that you just don't trust, you can't trust. Through experience, you know that if you give that person a somewhat complex task without looking over their shoulder, without telling them exactly what to do, without coaching them, that it's just going to end in disaster. Whether it's an IQ thing or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Point is, this person is just incompetent. It's a sad reality, but it's the reality. Some people just can't be tasked or can't be trusted to take on certain tasks. Well, that person is your typical liberal in the world of politics. If you want a solution to your problems, the last person that you should ever look to is a leftoid. Because in order to solve complex problems, especially societal problems, there's one little issue, one little roadblock that seems to get in their way each and every single time, and that's reality. Basic reality. If you can't accept it, if you can't accept the basic facts, then how in the hell are you going to find a solution to the problems that you fail to accept? And of course, I'm saying this because I'm providing you with another great example of why Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is one of the worst leaders in modern American history, and a prime and perfect example of why Democrats just can't get anything done. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, you are not going to believe this, but Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has found the solution to crime in Chicago.
Heard a lot of rhetoric here, a lot of sound bites, but not a lot of concrete solutions on how we get the job done and make our residents and our workers safe. We're doing it every single day.
I think the follow-up is, and your solution is?
I just explained it. We have been in Little Village working with those street vendors, understanding what the nature of the crime is, making sure that we're doing things in concert with them to help them make sure that their money is secure, not use money, if at all possible, using other forms of transactions to take care of themselves.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot questioned on safety concerns and crime concerns involving street workers, people who are working small kiosks on the street, businesses that are currently struggling to survive because crime is so rampant, they're constantly being robbed. Mayor Lori Lightfoot wanted to answer that question with the, generic, empty political rhetoric of, we want to find actual concrete solutions. We'll have real concrete solutions. Then when asked what exactly that solution is, quote, don't use cash. Figured it out, folks. The solution to crime, robbery on the street, is the abolition of cash. You see, this is what Democrats do all the time. They see a problem and they misdiagnose it. You know what the problem is? Violent gangs of criminals allowed to just run amok across your city, totally unimpeded. That's the problem, frankly, that's the cancer that needs to be targeted, but instead, in true Democrat fashion, Lori Lightfoot identifies the problem as the use of cash, dollar bills. Does that make sense to you? I mean, any logical human being, does that make sense? In a certain way, kind of. I mean, if they weren't wheeling and dealing in cash all day long and they weren't holding on to big sums of cash, although, not exactly big sums of cash, but let's say a couple $100, it probably would help solve the problem to a certain extent, at least for them. But does it solve the issue of widespread crime? Absolutely not, because if they're not a target, then somebody else will be. If they're not robbing the hot dog stand on the corner of the street, then they'll be robbing the convenience store, or the gas station, robbing people in maybe more affluent neighborhoods, going for a job and taking their cell phones. You don't actually solve the problem, all you do is push it away from here and move it to there. That isn't a solution. That's Democrat phony compassion nonsense. Once again, Democrat politicians being more compassionate and finding excuses for criminals instead of standing up for law-abiding citizens, people at the bottom of the economic food chain, trying to make a living working on the streets. Many of the time those people are immigrants or refugees who never had any formal type of education and they're trying to feed their families. And instead of standing up for those people and saying, we're going to create a safe environment We're going to enforce laws. We're going to support law enforcement. We're going to be present and make sure that you aren't victimized. The Democrat response is, well, maybe don't use cash. I mean, friggin' WEF Klaus Schwab is in the corner rubbing his hands together thinking, yes, keep going, Lori Lightfoot. Because, I mean, there's two options here. Either Democrats just continue to prove their absolute ignorance, their inability to problem solve, or they're part of some bigger macro meta agenda. Those are the two options. Or I guess the third option is that you have some sort of supreme overlord on top that's just using these incompetent buffoons to set their agenda. That's possible as well. It's kind of like a mix between both options. But either these people are too stupid, too naive to believe that what they're doing is bad and just going to make things worse, or it's some sort of Orwellian New World Order agenda that is being implemented using these ignorant Democrat politicians as a vessel of implementation. Obviously, they want to abolish cash. You know, it's the future, they say. It's the future. But the real reason is, of course, power control. They don't want people using cryptocurrencies. They don't want people doing transactions totally monitored and tracked. That's why they hate cash, and it's why they hate cryptocurrencies. It's why they want a Federal Reserve token, or even better than that, they want a global currency, a global digital currency that runs on central bank databases. That way they could track every single transaction you make, what companies you support, what politicians you donate to, everything you do. They will know. Your records, your medical records, whether you're complying or not. That, of course, is what they want, and if you think the Democrats aren't part of that vision, after Joe Biden's plans to expand the IRS with 87,000 new agents, and signing off on a bill that allows the IRS to snoop on every single PayPal transaction above $600, well, it's all the same thing, it's all the same vision. And I've been doing this politics thing, I've been following politics and paying attention for way too long to not know that there are very few coincidences in the world of politics. Very few. And these connections that we're always able to make, with Republicans in certain cases, but especially with Democrats, well, it's no coincidence at all. These sinister, cynical practices that we constantly report on, and their connections to the New World Order, it's no coincidence. Everything the Democrats do is irresponsible, totally void of substance, and usually part of some sinister plan. If it's not the whole New World Order thing, this top-down globalist world vision revolution, then it's just a play for power, and they use these sensitive topics to do exactly that. You know, Mayor Lori Lightfoot has a history of doing this kind of thing, recently outlawing on-foot chases, stopping the Chicago Police Department from chasing criminals in certain cases. It's almost as if they want crime to flourish. They want these societal issues to continue to exacerbate, because of course that's how they get elected. It's always some sort of 3D chess move to appear compassionate, to appear as if they're doing something, as if they care, when in reality, they're actively part of the problem and making things worse, because they know that that leads them into the next election cycle where they have something to run on. And I mean, it is crazy. Only in the world of politics will people endlessly vote for the same people who keep promising to solve the same problems that they've been promising to solve for decades. I mean, you'd think if you had a basic standard that if somebody comes in and says, we're going to solve this problem, you'd expect to find a solution in timely fashion, to see them actively trying to work towards a real solution in concrete plans. But with these Democrats, I mean, it's decades upon decades of empty promises and empty rhetoric, and on the performance side, on the results side, a big fat nothing. Well, this is why. Their solution to crime is, well then, just don't use cash. Kind of similar to the disgusting rhetoric that we saw back in the summer of 2020, as left-wing rioters were burning down entire communities. Well, those businesses have insurance. It's all just so sickening. The word really is cynical. This right here is why Democrat cities are falling apart. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.